Reddit. This place continues to surprise me. With so many different subreddits you can view, you're bound to find something mysterious. Today, we'll be taking a deep dive on a post I found on the RBI subreddit about a Redditor who was spied and stalked on by their ex-boyfriend.
This is their story.
On January 3rd, 2023, at 10:51 a.m., a Redditor of the name Euphoric Distance 971 would make a post on the RBI subreddit asking for help on what to do about a current stalker. Their post is as follows: How to expose Stalker X for the psycho he really is. I have an ex-boyfriend that is making my life a living nightmare for the past year. Broke up with him 2+ years ago. It began with him hacking my computer with a rat, remote access Trojan, attached to pictures of us he sent me through Google Photos. I would be on the internet and he would start remote controlling the cursor, backspacing when I type. Eventually he downloaded a bunch of viruses on it and crashed it. Once I got a new computer, I deleted all of my old email accounts he was aware of, all social media profiles, and anything about myself I was able to remove off the internet. What I did not know at the time was that he was able to see everything I was doing when he was remoting in my computer. Now, 2+ years later, I find out he is aware of what erotic content I would watch on my computer. Apparently humiliated me by telling mutual people we know about it and destroying my reputation. This will be relevant later. The past year, my apartment kept getting broken into repeatedly with nothing stolen and things out of place. I filed countless police reports. There would be huge pry marks on the doors and personal documents like medical records, SSN card, tax records, passwords written down, banking records moved and shuffled on the floor. He got my bank account number and info, which I found out later has been using it to track me this whole time with no transactions he made, so I wouldn't know. He has a data analytics engineer position and is already well off, so I'm assuming that's why he didn't try to steal anything other than the fact I'm broke. I would later find out he had all this info when I attempted to set up my first portfolio website to try and get a software engineering internship. He decided to sabotage that. He waited until the week before Thanksgiving this year to deface my website. Picture of a nude person performing the erotic acts related to the type of content I used to watch. Inserted a phishing link with a username being his username and my bank account number, and a message that said, "Your server has been broken, do not blame anyone. No security system is perfect and I mean nothing by it." I regained control of my website and removed the offending content. I had a hunch it could be him, so I did a scan of his website to see if any of the IPs connected to his servers matched the continued attacks I was getting on the website. He was using fake countries, fake user agents, and fake IPs. He has made constant attacks on my website, and what is creepy is he seems to know exactly when I am in my bedroom, not home, asleep at night, or awake. I will get up to take a shower, and then within a few minutes of me going in the shower, he will start making tons of requests to my website. I will go to sleep at different times, and somehow he knows exactly when, and checking the logs in the morning, I see that within 5 to 10 minutes of that time, I put my head on the pillow and closed my eyes. That night he made tons of requests. The requests he is making are very creepy, attempting to guess passwords as obscure 60+ character Wi-Fi passwords I used over 6 months, setting his user agent to a phrase that mocks the type of erotic content he caught me watching, and referring to the building I live in and attempting to guess that phrase as a password. I have already reported him to the FBI cybercrime unit, but I reported him before when he got in my computer with a rat after I broke up with him 2+ years ago, and they did nothing and did not even reach out to me for more info. I know they are busy and I'm sure get cases like this all the time, but this has evolved into something very creepy and I cannot function at all due to the psychological trauma of it. I have tried everything under the sun to get him to stop, and he is doing things intentionally to sabotage my chance at gaining an internship, finishing college, and getting a job by making it unsafe to use my own website I pay for or post any information online to try and get a job. I have no friends left because they all take his side and everyone loves him. We live in a small town and I have no savings and no way to live. I can't afford an investigator or attorney and literally running on barely anything each week for food, living off of student loans. Please help me think of some ways to get him to stop once and for all for good and never mess with me again. I have his full name, address, phone number, email addresses, job title, employer name where he works. I need him to leave me alone and let me move on with my life, and he will not stop. I thought he would give up, but even after putting up the derogatory pics and bank info on my website, he continues to attack it daily and night months later, sometimes during the day when most people are working. Please help. Redditors would start to type out their advice and opinions as to what to do with this stalker. A Redditor of the name Hallow Dread who made an excellent suggestion. Their comment is as follows. First thing you should do is to find out a way to cut off the emotional excitement he gets from this. Check your phone for cameras and microphones. Shut down your website, go dark. Keep talking to law enforcement. Find a trustworthy tech person who can help you. I'm sorry you're in this terrible predicament. Being stalked is a horrifying experience. Stay strong. This is good advice. Euphoric Distance 971 should check their home for any cameras or microphones to see if that is how their stalker is spying on them and somehow knowing about what they are doing 24/7. Regularly contacting law enforcement should also help out as well as getting extra tech help. Hallow Dread would also suggest that they go dark for a couple of months to see if they can get their stalker to lose interest of them over time, as well as to never click any suspicious links. This makes sense. If you are ever sent a link by an unknown person, never click it. Suspicious links can do a wide number of things that tend to not be good for you. Multiple Redditors would also suggest that Euphoric Distance 971 hire a lawyer immediately, which I obviously agree with. Another Redditor would give wonderful advice with them stating, if you're usually on your computer or phone during the day, it's possible he's monitoring network traffic, and considering his area of expertise, it's not crazy to imagine he installed something that intercepts your traffic, also while in your apartment. Check your physical router and consider swapping it out and look for any quote-unquote signal boosters. Before logging onto your network with any devices, check to see if any of them have been compromised and might be granting him access to your network traffic, such as any sort of ITT devices controlled by a random application. Any sort of sudden drop off in your activity at around a logical time for your showers or bedtime, even if not at the exact same time every day, would be an easy pattern for him to follow and even automate attacks around. Other routine activities on your network around these things could also tip him off. Say, for example, you play music while in the shower, in general, or even on a specific speaker. Alternatively, any other sort of ITT devices either installed by you or him without your knowledge, like light bulbs, can not only hide cameras and other recording devices, audio for example, which would record the sound of your shower running, or quiet in the apartment at bedtime, but even just normal smart devices will log their usage and he could have access to these logs. So for example, if you're turning smart bulbs on and off in the restroom and in your bedroom, he would easily see these activity logs if he has access to the accounts or network they're on. Things like Google Home or Smart Life etc. will have those logs and may be easy to forget to change a password on or remove a household contact from if you don't regularly log into them. Same goes for any sort of smart TV or speakers you may have. If he ever has access to a smart TV account, he might still be able to see when the devices are on and in use. The light bulbs would be easy for him to swap out if you hadn't installed any yourself. Check your network for unrecognized devices. Might also reveal any cameras or other recording equipment, as well as your physical routers and whatnot. Also check for other devices that could be used to create a totally separate network he's on, like mini hotspot devices hidden in the back of a closet or something. He could have an exterior camera where he's watching when lights go on in the bathroom and off in the bedroom. Also, while cameras are the obvious form of spy equipment, they're also the easiest to find and identify as nefarious monitoring devices. If this guy is smart, he might have gone with more mundane methods of capturing partial data, like swapping out a phone charger you always plug into at night with one that logs usage, or has a hidden microphone, or basically piggybacking onto similar devices like plug-in lamps, surge protectors, etc. Basically check anything with a power source, though this alone won't technically cover all bases, just the most likely ones. Old school bugs were often installed on lamps for this sort of reason. Try to identify what the ancillary pieces are to your routine activities and see if changing these up results in any disruption or mistiming of his attacks. For example, go into the bathroom and turn on the lights as if you were going to shower, but don't run the water, and go back to your room and see if anything happens. If not, then try doing the same with audio cues, playing, moving whatever music devices you use, then again by running the shower, etc. At night, try just turning off lights, but remaining up in bed and on whatever devices you usually use. Then try again by mimicking your bedtime device activities, but leaving the lights on, etc. Isolating the potential data streams he might be relying on like this will help you figure out what exactly is tipping him off. This is impeccable advice. Oxytocin makes many great points here. One of the points of how Euphoric Distance 971 should check their network logs to see if their stalkers connected with unknown devices. The advice they gave about changing up their schedule to see how the stalker is tipped off to watch them is a great way to figure out what times the stalker is spying on them. The one thing I personally believe Euphoric Distance 971 needs to do first is check for any cameras, as this should be the most easiest and obvious way of finding out how their stalker is spying on them. Many other Redditors would advise Euphoric Distance 971 to hire a private investigator, which for this situation I highly agree with. A private investigator can do a lot of things in figuring out how to combat this stalker. One Redditor asked Euphoric Distance 971 a very good question, with them asking, "Think he was capable of putting cameras in your place before the breakup even happened? Since he knows when you're asleep, I wouldn't doubt it." This was a very good point to bring up, as Euphoric Distance 971 were replied to this with, "Good point. I didn't think of that, but we did spend a lot of time in my apartment while we were together, and he was over here at least 2 to 3 times a week, so it's very possible he planted something here while we were together to make sure I wasn't straying away from him or something. I know he had an ex he would always mention from 7 to 8 years ago that he caught with another guy, and he would never tell me how he tracked them down, but it seemed to make him paranoid about me cheating on him when we were together, so it would make sense if that led to him planting something for the same reasons. Given this information now, I would not doubt OP's ex-boyfriend possibly installed spying equipment in OP's home while they were together." Another Redditor also gave some amazing advice, with them stating, "Maybe you can get a hold of the ex somehow, just to see if they have any information that might be helpful, i.e. cameras or other similar things he did to them." This is great advice. By doing this, Euphoric Distance 971 could figure out from past relationships their ex-boyfriend had. They could learn if he has done this type of behavior in the past. Euphoric Distance 971 would reply with, "He never told me her name. He always referred to her as the drug," and would go on and on about how he caught her at a trailer park cheating on him. I'm guessing he probably did similar things to her, but I have no clue how I would get her info. That same Redditor that made that piece of advice would reply to this stating, "Typically, but not always, accusations like this by people capable of stalking are usually confessions, veiled as accusations. Also, if he was controlling, he would have perceived everything she did as being a Those kinds of accusations about exes are not uncommon in stalking cases, or in the type of relationships prone to lead to stalking. I'm sorry if I missed this and someone else posted it, but has anyone or yourself done a thorough check of him and the county clerks of anywhere you know he has lived? A lot of times with behaviors this extreme, I find it shocking that they haven't been caught prior. It is possible they haven't been, but also possible he has. A pattern would be your friend with law enforcement in the situation. It's sad someone has to be the victim before you for you to often be taken seriously. This is also a great point. It's possible the stalker might have done this type of behavior in the past, and there might be a track record that Euphoric Distance 971 could find out. However, Euphoric Distance 971 would reply with, "No, I haven't checked with the county clerks here or in other places he has lived. I did try to do a public record search online, but all I found was 2 traffic citations he had about 5 years ago. I'm guessing if it was something like stalking, it might be more detailed report I would need to get from them, and not easy accessible in the online record searches, which I think only show traffic tickets unless you sign up for a monthly subscription plans. I will see if I can get a public record request to see if he has any criminal records on file that could be related to this in my town or in the town he was living in before. I'm not sure though if by accessing these records he would be made aware of my record request or not, which would be a safety concern, but I will ask and see what they say." After all this, however, after checking Euphoric Distance 971's profile page, there hasn't been an update regarding to the situation since January 3rd, 2023. Hopefully Euphoric Distance 971 can post an update soon regarding the situation, which if they do, I will more than likely make a video on it. Alright, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. What did you think of this post? Did you think it was real or fake? Personally, it's hard to say. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. But as always,
Have a nice day.